For standard 8.5 meets, we need to determine the total resistance and total current for a combination circuit. Given the circuit that's drawn here, below we see that resistor A is 8. Okay, we have to remember that our unit there is ohms. B is 4 ohms. C is also 8 ohms. And D is 2 ohms. Our battery is 9 volts, and that's been previously given to us, so we don't need to do anything with that. Our first step is to figure out what things are we going to add first. Right now, I see that A and B are in series, and I know that when things are in series, I can just add them together like normal. So for step 1, I'm going to find things that are in series and add them together. 8 ohms plus 4 ohms gives me a total of 12 ohms. So together, those are equal to 12. I see that my second step is going to be to add these two things in parallel together. So for step 2, when I'm adding things in parallel, I don't just get to add them together like I was in series. Now I add 1 over. So 1 over 8 ohms plus 1 over 2 ohms. Now I can't just add them together because I need to find a common denominator. In order to find a common denominator, both 2 and 8 need to go into it. Well, 2 and 8 both go into the number 8. So 1/2, I need to turn that into something eighths. In order to do that, I can take 1/2. I need to multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing. So if I multiply the bottom by 4 and the top by 4, I now get 4/8. So really, what I'm ultimately adding together is 1/8 plus 4/8. When I add that together, I get 5/8 ohm. I need to switch this to 8 over 5. So remember, I'm doing that because previously I added 1 over r plus 1 over r equals 1 over r total. If I flip that fraction, I get r total over 1. What I'm really looking for is the total amount of resistance. So by flipping it and getting r total over the number 1, I'm getting just the resistance. So you can keep it like that, or if you want to, I'm going to divide that out and get 1.6 ohms. So here, this parallel circuit section is 1.6 ohms. Now, if I'm going to redraw what that circuit looks like now that I've added those two things, I'm going to get still 9 volts down here, but now I have only 2 resistors left. The first being 12 ohms, the second being 1.6 ohms. My last step is to now add these two together. Okay, these two are in series, so I can add them as I normally would. 12 ohms plus 1.6 ohms gives me a total of 13.6 ohms. That's my total resistance. The last thing that it asked me to solve for is my total current. If I know that my voltage is equal to 9, my resistance is equal to 13.6 ohms, all I'm looking for is my current. If you think back to a previous problem we did for standard 8.4, when we needed to rearrange, we found that I is equal to V over R. I is equal to 9 volts divided by 13.6 ohms. I is equal to 0.67 amps. I'll abbreviate that with a capital A. You've now solved for your total resistance and for your total current.